Okay, so we have a very kind of surprising message, or a surprising theme, I should say, today. Um, First of all, obviously, I'm not in my environment. Obviously, I'm traveling at the moment and handling some business. Um, Thank you for being here. Thank you for seeking harmony both within and without. That's fine. That's totally fine. Because nothing in life is perfect. Okay, so this is going to be a general. Let's see if we've got enough light. Is there enough light on the situation? Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. I am excited to say today we have a collective channeled message which is about one of my favorite movies from back in the day, but still definitely one of my favorite movies. First of all, I just like to acknowledge your ancestors, known and unknown. My ancestors, known and unknown. And the ancestors of the ground on which we stand. Okay, so this might be not like obviously every tarot reading you watch, every channeled message you watch, everything you watch, I guess you could say, not everything will resonate with you. So please only take what resonates and feels true in your soul, and please leave what does not. Just gonna leave all of that. Everything is as it should be. Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever seen the movie called The Neverending Story. This is, well, it's coming through in like a really, it's okay. So my channeling is obviously evolving and changing, as is yours, as is the entire collectives. But there is definitely a huge shift in the way that my guides are working with me, the way that my spirit guides are working with me, the way my ancestors are working with me, both the galactic and the earthly. I could even say that there is a lot of brand new ways that my higher self is working with me. So I'm not even sure exactly how to explain the way that this particular reading has come about, but it definitely is connected to the never-ending story. I've taken a few notes about the never-ending story, so if you haven't seen the never-ending story, then you can still enjoy and get benefit from this message, this channeled message. And yeah, so we've got messages from the Childlike Empress. So I'll just go straight into it. Like I said, please only take what resonates. I don't always take notes, but these are actually quotes from StoryWiki. So like obviously linked into the educational resource that we all know and love. Yeah? Is that enough light? Just give me one tick. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are, whoever you are. And I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm just going to do some kind of freestyling messages, channeling, as well as pull a few cards. and I believe they're either going to be messages about the Childlike Empress or from the Childlike Empress. Here's some information about her if you're not aware of the character of the Childlike Empress, who seems to be coming through very, very, very strongly in your message today here at Codes of Harmony. Thank you for clicking like, sharing, and subscribing, as it does help bounce out these messages to get to more members of the collective so we can rise together. Okay, so the Childlike Empress is a character, and again, these are from Story Wiki, which is a really great resource if you want to look into particular characters or particular novels or movies or whatever. The Neverending Story was a book by Michelle Ende, or E-N-D-E, and it was actually became a trilogy, became 3 films, but definitely the first film is like, if you haven't seen the first film, make sure that you watch the first film first so that you can get a really good understanding of the Childlike Empress, because this particular character is for some reason very important for the collective to start understanding at this time, and it's essential, is what I'm channeling, that the character, the symbol, the emblem, if you would, of the Childlike Empress is something that the collective really starts considering from all perspectives. Okay, so another name for the Childlike Empress is the golden-eyed commander of wishes. So making wishes, beautiful, love that energy. There's some kind of element or energy of wishes in the collective at the moment. This could be coming about in your everyday life. This could be showing up in your astral space. This could be showing up in, like, if you are somebody who does intentional magic of the light, you may be finding that the things you have prayed for, the things you've wished for, the things you have dreamt for are coming into existence. You could be seeing this happening in your life, or you could be getting like a premonition, a prophecy maybe of that in your life. Obviously, this is going to resonate for different people on different levels, and you know, you all come from different places, different cultures, different backgrounds, living in different points of the electromagnetic grid and the 3D grid of Gaia. And so these messages are going to come through at the time that you need to hear and understand the Childlike Empress, and the time that your direct community, your direct family, your direct soul tribe, your direct community, they keep saying, is going to start understanding the Childlike Empress a little bit more. I'm also hearing the word respect, like that's coming through very loud and clear. Another name or another reference for the Childlike Empress that is used in the Neverending Story is Moon Child. Some other things that I kept a note of. Okay, so she's known to be kind, she's known to be gentle, and she's known to be pure at heart. For me, this brings about messages around innocence, obviously childlike nature, which is essential to the Childlike Empress in the Neverending Story, even though the Childlike Empress is actually very ancient and has actually been there protecting this fantastical, beautiful world, which of course the Neverending Story exists within, which is a land called Fantasia. Yeah, so that's interesting. Like, I feel like that's a really interesting dichotomy, I think is the word, if my sickbed reading serves me right. And yeah, that it's like a contradiction. And I feel like this is really, it makes me think about my sun and my moon signs, which I spoke about recently here at Codes of Harmony. And I spoke about how my sun sign is the sun, is Leo, very, very Leo. I mean, as if you even had to ask. And then I have the deep, dark, deathly, almost spooky moon placement of Scorpio. And so there's something like, I don't know if they're just using that as an example. Obviously, that's my birth chart, very specific to me. But for some reason, they're wanting me to point that out as an example connected to the Childlike Empress. And that she is eternally has this childlike quality to her, and this purity, pure of heart, right? So when we talk about pure of heart, we're not saying that any person is perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. In fact, I think imperfection is one of the most perfect things that you could possibly ever attain, witness. It's talking about to be pure of heart is to genuinely want the best for everybody. And due to things that you may have experienced in your life, you may have been through trauma, you may have been through oppression, discrimination, objectification, abuse, you may have been through all the things that this wild world can throw at you, right? But somebody who is truly pure of heart, as you may be yourself, you will find that you always, no matter what, always want the best for the collective. And you, even those who have harmed you, even those that have betrayed you, even those that have like shown themselves to be just like downright not necessarily within this frequency, this like beautiful, open-hearted, loving, caring frequency that we know that we're talking about. Yeah, even those beings, the Childlike Empress, I'm clearly getting channeled messages coming through, so let me just gather myself for a minute. Please be clear, divine guidance, be most beneficial for everyone involved. Yeah, so that doesn't mean that the Childlike Empress does not have, feelings that go beyond that of this idea of purity, or this idea of, she's very much like a symbol that protects and serves. It's just funny because I know that's a slogan of like certain earthly world protectors. But definitely in the character, in the story of the never-ending story, here's some other notes that I took about her. And these are direct quotes from Story Wiki about the Childlike Empress and the never-ending story. She is the supreme and immortal ruler of the mystical universe of Fantasia. Fantastica. So weird. I remember it being said quite different. Fantasia. She resides in the imperial capital called the Ivory Tower. Now this is interesting because this gets used as a quote-unquote political term a lot in our earthly realm, in our modern contemporary understanding. This idea of the ivory tower, the idea of those in power, the idea of those in a place of prestige, right? And often making decisions for and having the responsibility of caring for and protecting those who are in some way on more of a mass, right? Like a general mass, general collective. Thank you for being here. That's really nice to see you. Thanks. Thank you for being here in this space with me. That feels really nice to see you there. So she resides in the imperial capital called the Ivory Tower. So obviously this book is like, has a lot of symbolism, has a lot of important symbolism that connects into and makes comments about our earthly collective. She lives within the center of a giant magnolia flower made of carved ivory. I also think this is a interesting kind of heavy message because ivory itself is actually made from the husks and the bones of elephants, generally speaking, which is, of course, poaching is a disgusting, horrendous thing that humans should never do. Hunting's a very different thing. Hunting while respecting the animal or the life that you are hunting, and then you know, taking down that animal in an honorable way. That's a very ancient way of living with the land, of hunting and caring about animals and the whole world, the whole collective that you're part of, obviously. As we care about animals, as we care about living things, each cellular living thing, we care more about the general collective, in turn having the general collective care more about us. So it's really interesting to me that she is sitting in the center of a magnolia, a carved magnolia flower. And when you watch the film, she's constantly, like she doesn't seem to be able to leave this flower, right? I put it on the front of this video. I don't know if you caught that. And yeah, so she has this position of sitting in the center of this magnolia flower. Magnolias are beautiful. It also makes me think of this particular film. There's actually a few really great films connected to magnolias. Magnolias also are they're very stunning when you see them at nighttime. I remember walking home really late after a gig one night with somebody and looking up. And there was this tree that I'd walked by so many times, and it had these beautiful magnolia blooms, these huge magnolia blooms. And the center of the magnolia, like the inner petal, is this beautiful pearlescent white, which of course connects with and symbolizes purity in a lot of ways, connecting back to that idea of the childlike empress being pure of heart. And then the outside of the magnolias, there's this gorgeous purple, like this lilac purple color that kind of just is washed around the outside, the exterior petals of a magnolia. And so when you see a magnolia in the moonlight at nighttime, it's just something else. It's just so beautiful. And I remember, stopping and looking up, and I said, they're alien flowers. I said something like that, like alien princess flowers. And this is so long ago, like a decade ago now. Yeah, so she's in the center of this beautiful flower, this gorgeous blessing of a flower. And the ivory tower, the capital, if you've seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's so tall and so high that it's actually up in the clouds, which brings on so much symbolism to do with dreams, astral space, the supernatural powers that she has. Yeah. But there's definitely this sense of her being like intentionally by the divine separated from the larger collective of the whole film, all the other characters in the film. And she possesses wisdom, back to the quotes now, she possesses wisdom far beyond that of mortals and any other fantasy creature. And it's funny because this book is almost like, in some ways it feels like it has like the edge of references to many other fantasy novels or many other fantasy films. I don't know if I mentioned it, but it was also made in the 70s. Yeah, in 1979 to be precise. So another quote we have is, she possesses wisdom far beyond that of mortals or any other fantasy creature. I just saw Star Wars flash in my mind for a second. Supernatural, out of this world, and even out of her world. This is my quote, actually. Out of this world, superpowers, out of this world, gifts and abilities that are not only outside of the scope of the human boy who meets her and is the kind of the main character of the entire film, Bastian, which is also a really gorgeous symbol because bastion is, the word bastion is like, brings to mind the lighthouse, you know, like a bastion is like our last bastion, our hope. So the word hope is important. Hope is important. Faith, having faith in the childlike empress is so important at this time for the collective. It's so essential that the collective has trust and faith that the divine knows exactly what they're doing, and the divine is communicating with and working through the childlike empress in a way that is not only beyond the scope and understanding of Bastian, the human boy who is at the center of the story, but even the other characters, all the other fantastical, magical beings in the never-ending story. And they're magic, like they're magic as fuck, you know, magic AF, if you want to be PG about it. PG, which is interesting, that's coming through because of this childlike energy, this harmony, this push and pull, this counterbalance between her being ancient and having to remain in a childlike energy. And I'm not saying this in a creepy, weird way, obviously. And like, if you thought that, then you probably need some help yourself. Like, you know, like look into that, do some shadow work on that. What I'm talking about is something that's actually quite associated with the sign of Leo, which is my sun sign, as I said before. That, you know, there is this childlike quality to me. I'm using myself as an example now because I think looking back now of all the characters in the movie, and I loved that movie, I really, really resonated with the childlike empress, which is funny. Yeah. Okay. And they did make a point of that occasionally, it's like periodically or at certain periods of time, the childlike empress will become quite weak and her powers will be under attack. And in the film, what her powers and in turn the entire collective and the entire universe is under threat by is this thing called the Great Nothing. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, the Great Nothing. And it's just kind of moving across the land. And the Great Nothing, please can be clear to my guys, who most beneficial for everyone involved, is about not dreaming. Yeah, which is why Bastian is so important, because Bastian is a child who dreams, and that's also really important. There's a larger message for the collective to make sure you continue dreaming and you continue hoping and you continue having faith in the inner childlike empress within you. Within whatever childlike empress is a figure in your life, or for the collective, for the general collective at this time. Oh, let me slow down a minute. We can't rush words of wisdom, can we? So the entire film is like Bastian starts reading this book, right, called The Neverending Story. And as he's reading The Neverending Story, he dreams and believes in it so much. He believes in the magic of the story so much that he actually gets taken into the world that is within the Neverending Story. Really, like stuff that dreams are made of, right? And he has been brought there as part of this kind of prophecy that takes place in this universe. Fantasia. And it is because periodically the childlike empress has her energy drained, is under dark attack from the Great Nothing. The Great Nothing for the collective, I believe, is coming through as a symbol of not believing, not trusting, not dreaming, not having faith, and not really loving and believing in magic. And so it's like, as this Great Nothing, which is this dark shadow that is crossing the land, and as it's crossing the land, it's just bringing everyone into this state of sadness, of lackluster, of not caring, not dreaming. And what they don't realize all the characters in the movie, they don't understand that they are part of what is making the great nothing even exist. They are part of what is making the great nothing be able to take over this beautiful magical land, filled with all these incredible creatures with magical powers and abilities and gifts and prophecies of their own. But as this great nothing takes over, it's almost like a depression. Like, I could see it being seen as like the symbol of depression for the collective. So if you are experiencing depression, make sure that you reach out to somebody that you trust and that you feel is a safe space. If you feel like there's nobody in your life like that, then try and find a service that will help you. And obviously this can bleed into problems of addiction, problems of issues in your relationship, issues in your family, issues in your workplace, etc., etc. And so when this happens, the prophecy is that she must be willing to be given a new name by a child dreamer, which of course is Bastian. And she herself is a child, eternally a child, right? Just give me one moment. You have to excuse somebody of my level gifts, and I mean that without any ego, just like my vessel very much is like an instrument of channeling. So I'm feeling everything that you're feeling. Like, I can't even tell you what it's like to feel the entire collective. It's really such a blessing, and also obviously comes with its own challenges. And I feel like that's coming through for a reason in this reading today. So yeah, the idea of this hero, right? And they're all, like, all of the main characters are technically kids, and it's a kids film, whatever. It's not, whatever. So it's also about the child within you, like the childlike empress, the childlike emperor, whatever gender doesn't exist in tarot or anywhere. Yeah, so this will regain her strength and allow her to go back to being the protector and the guardian, the magical conduit guardian of this beautiful universe that she has been tasked by the divine to serve and protect. And the scary, the big part, maybe it's not scary, but the part that should really be, that I'm hoping to like pull cards on and find out a little bit more about, is that part of the prophecy of the never-ending story is that if the childlike empress ceases to exist, the entire fantasy realm, the entire universe, this entire world of dreams and imagination, which is very much connected to manifestation, if you want to talk about it in these spiritual terms, right? Yeah, that world will actually cease to exist if the childlike empress is not allowed to be the childlike empress. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, God, she really has a bit of a task ahead of her, and that she's never allowed. It feels like the fact that she lives within a giant magnolia, in the center of a giant flower, that makes me think of Thumbelina. I don't know if that's a story that resonates with you or is symbolic to you. Maybe that's a message for somebody. So she's childlike, she's innocent, she's also ancient, she's all-knowing, but she must stay curious and she must stay joyful in order to serve and protect her people. So you do notice that there's a number of characters in the film that, they don't mean to, but they're putting a lot of pressure on the childlike empress in the never-ending story. I haven't actually read the book. I'm hoping to get a copy of it soon. Give me one moment. Yeah, so dreams. There's something about dreams, and dreams have been coming a lot in my coming through a lot in my channeled messages. You may be receiving important messages in your dreams at the moment. Dream journaling could be a really beneficial thing for you at this time. They also wanted me to talk about the emblem. So there's this emblem that's on the front of that's at the start of the film. So it's on the actual outside of the Neverending Story book, and it is this gorgeous image of like two snakes intertwined and biting each other's tail. One's gold, one's silver. And so that's interesting because dragons are also important for the collective at the moment. There's so much dragon energy that we can work with at this time, that you're being invited to work with at this time, which of course makes me think of Balthazar, the actual dragon, the well-known dragon. Excuse me. Oh, let me just purge for the entire collective. Just one moment. The golden-eyed commander of wishes. That makes me think about wishing on stars, make a wish on the star. It makes me think about like wishing flowers, you know, the flowers that you go, which is also interesting, like in a shamanic way, using the breath, using the force of your word, using the power of your intention as you blow onto that flower, and then you make a wish, and as it goes into the ether, that wish hopefully will be granted. So then that made me think about, you know, that does everybody in the Neverending Story have a wish that they want granted? How many people in Neverending Story are, first of all, putting the wishes of the entire collective before themselves? As the Childlike Empress has no choice but to. She obviously still loves what she's doing. It's very clear. She's very passionate. She cares a lot about the divine role that she's been given. But you know, after Bastion goes back home, oh sorry, spoiler alert. And after the battle has been won against this great nothing that is, to me, that's making me think a lot about social media and like the internet, capitalism, and like advertising that really does create this like gaping hole of nothingness within some people. That's the idea, that you then go and buy things, you know. I try and go to op shops and use secondhand things as much as I can, obviously like safely. Let me see. Please give me clear divine guidance that'll be most beneficial for everyone involved. Just give me a moment. Thank you for clicking like, sharing, and subscribing, as it helps me continue to do this work. So we can continue to bounce out these messages, boomerang if you like, which is something my people's invented. Not the movie. Hi, Wednesday. Hi, sweetie. Hello. Yeah. Hi. Thank you. Where was I now? God, I don't even know. Sometimes I dream so heavy and so hard, and I do such deep astral work that I just, you know, it's an interesting thing being an oracle and being a, you know, contemporary medicine woman, energy worker, because you really are operating in so many multiple dimensions, and then having to explain and interact with and translate and convey these messages into the earthly plane of existence. I personally am so grateful, and I hope that everybody knows how grateful I am for that. Yeah, so the symbol I was talking about, the snakes biting each other's tail, which is a symbol that's on the front of the storybook. So it's interesting, it actually is like a portal. It's like a portal. And that is called the Or-In, well, that's how you say it. And it's a medallion, it's an emblem, it's a symbol, it's an amulet. It's a protective thing that you can wear around your neck, right? So as soon as he goes into the book, it becomes not on the front of the book, it becomes something that you can wear as a necklace, or you know, I don't know, an energy enhancing kind of amulet. It affects humans differently than those from Fantastica. So this is interesting because there's some theories that the message, like there's something carved into the back of it, and there is some talk about, just 1 second. Excuse me, sorry. So there's like some theories that the message is different for depending on who is looking at the message on the back of this beautiful, powerful emblem, this medallion, the Or-In. And yeah, so there's like a question about whether the message is different for Bastian than it is for Atreyu. Atreyu is depicted as this Native American character who is, you know, that's interesting, I think, working with like Native, particularly Native American symbols, character, and energy, because a lot of the ancient wisdom and knowledge is still being carried by First Nations people and shared with the world, obviously, when it's safe too for those beings. But the message that when the message, the main message is do what you wish. Yeah. And so that's really interesting looking at that at this time for the collective, and that this symbolism around understanding and respecting and being patient with the Childlike Empress, because damn, what a job, right? Like nobody in any of the realms has any idea what it's like to be her except for her, right? Let's see if we can't get some messages. Please give us clear divine guidance for most beneficial for everyone involved. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Thank you for seeking harmony both within and without. Thank you for all that you are. And that's the other thing that I remember about her character is she really open-heartedly requested help from Bastian but did not demand the help. Okay, we have 5 of Earth, insecurity. So there's definitely like an insecurity within the whole collective because of the great nothing. It'd be really beneficial for a lot of you to actually watch or re-watch the Neverending Story. Neverending Story. Or listen to the song, watch the film clip. That could be beneficial for some of you, because there is a great nothing that is sweeping across our world. This great nothing tries to pull you into darkness and make you think that nothing can be right again. And this great nothing erases history, erases her story, them story, erases time, actually breaks the very rocks and the mountains and the land, and casts it all into this kind of dark, stuck, stagnant lagoon. And that is very much what's happening in the collective. And you can see that, you know, the few times throughout the film that you see the Childlike Empress, the different shots of her, you can see she's being physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually affected by what is happening to her peoples and what is happening to the collective and what is happening to the land and the sea and all of the living, breathing animals in the entire world that she has been tasked with protecting. So we then have the two of air, inner peace. And that's got 2 feathers, which is also interesting that I happen to use this, which has a lot of shamanic information in it, a lot of shamanic imagery and symbols and messages. We then have the small medicine wheel, which has a huge white eagle on it. So that again goes back to that purity of heart that the Childlike Empress has. Obviously I'm saying Empress, but the Childlike Empress could be an emperor in your situation. But there's definitely like a divine feminine, like almost like motherly, warm, loving, nurturing energy that is being offered to the collective. And so it's also like the collective needs to truly believe and have faith and trust and respect and love for the Childlike Empress in order for her to love, trust, and receive, you know, which is so important to divine feminine energy. That's also about finding the balance of masculine and feminine within you. That might be something that you're looking at in your journey. And I've received a lot of guidance and a lot of downloads about gender and masculinity and femininity shifting so much over the next period of time within the collective ascension journey. Thank you for being here, darling. It's really nice to see someone in here. There we go. Abracadabra. Oh! The Son of Earth. The Son of Earth. So the person in your life or the element maybe within you that you are looking at in relation to these messages about the Childlike Empress or the Neverending Story, because you might connect to a different character from the Neverending Story. But I did think about how she there's something about her eyes. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. The Daughter of Water. Yeah, so the Daughter of Water is emotions, intuition. So she has to trust her intuition. She has to trust her emotions. And part of that is a very childlike energy. Like that is something that a lot of people lose as they grow up. They lose the ability to dream and hope and believe in magic. And even maybe some people actually get triggered by seeing that in others, is what I'm also downloading, is that some people very deep in their subconscious get triggered by the idea that somebody who looks like the Childlike Empress is actually very ancient and very all-knowing, but chooses to, and is divinely guided to stay in a very open, curious, inner child, you know, loving and holding a lot of space for the inner child. So I think there's a lot of messages in the Neverending Story about your inner child and love to your inner child, of course. Gratitude to all of those lessons that you have learnt, all of the ways that you have grown and changed since you were yourself in physical form in this incarnation a child. So there might be something about memories, about photographs, about like I'm seeing like a drawing on a fridge. So maybe your parents used to put your drawings on the fridge if you were somebody who had a parent like that, who did things like that. You know, and then we think about the abundance and the wealth, and there's an energy of like some of the characters being frustrated with the childlike empress, and kind of the idea of looking up to her, but really she also, you know, it's that counterbalance of like nobody knows what it's like to be inside of that giant magnolia, and to know that you must live within inside that magnolia, and you do not necessarily get to become close friends. Obviously, take this how this resonates. This could mean something very differently for all of you. It'll mean something different. But that she has this greater, larger task at hand, which is about protecting and serving the collective and keeping dreams alive, keeping magic alive, so that the great nothing does not consume all. And she's somehow very intrinsically linked to the very existence of dreams themselves, which is interesting. 5 of Water, loss. You may have received loss at some point in your time. 7, for some of you it was 7 years ago something important happened. Some of you 7 months, some of you 7 weeks. A lot of water energy. 7 of Water, excess. So it's interesting, there are multiple characters throughout the film. I'm just having like so many downloads come through. Let me see if I can just, you know, select as I go and like choose which one to deliver to you right in this second, in this moment. But basically that there are so many different characters that, like for example, there's this giant tortoise that Atreyu finds themselves. Atreyu is the, you know, the person of color character. Not that that's the only one, but of the main characters. And that is somebody who, you know, it's kind of unspoken that they have like a shamanic quality about them. It's unspoken, and it's not needed to be said that they have a certain mystical, magical quality about them. They also have this, some would say naivete, that comes from Atreyu not having ever been into the human world. And, you know, maybe just in dreams. And so, yeah, he finds himself on this giant tortoise, but this tortoise has been completely consumed by the great nothing. And as I said before, the great nothing is this kind of ominous darkness that is taking over. And it's not violent in the way that you would think a lot of wars or colonizations are. It's this slow, like it's coming to mind that symbolism of like a frog boiling inside of a pot, which is like a scientific term that I really don't like, and I would not want to use that normally. I don't even really want to be using that in this moment, but that just channeled through, because what that's about is like the frog doesn't realize that if you slowly turn up the water, the frog doesn't register that. And that to me talks about maybe certain members of the collective being detached from what's actually going on in the collective, and not necessarily being open to the full spectrum of what is actually taking place, and wanting to kind of categorize this colonization, this battle, this war that is taking place between these fantastical, beautiful creatures and dreams themselves. And it's made evident in the film that even though this is a fantasy world that Bastian has moved into via the portal of this ancient book, the Neverending Story. Always want to do that. It's interesting because it's like that fantasy world, that magical universe needs a human child, a human being, who still believes in dreams and still believes in magic. I was meant to say love, so that might mean something for some of you, still believes in love. And they need Bastion to come and essentially save, while working with all of the magical beings that he encounters, has to come and save this world, this universe of dreams, this magical world. So it's like that magical world needs Bastion, but also it's made kind of very clear that the human world actually, it's always a sense that that human world wouldn't actually exist without Fantasia. That, you know, if humans, particularly children, whether that's your inner child or literal children, you may be bringing a child into the world, you may have children of your own, this may be related to you and your parent-family dynamic, your siblings, maybe you have adopted, who knows. But if they stop believing in magic and they stop believing in that these superpowers exist, especially in the Childlike Empress, that great nothing would actually start taking place in the human world as well. I hope that makes sense. I know it's like a bit of like fan fiction going on over here. Fan is also an interesting word. It's funny because I use fans to do energy work a lot, which is in reference to and in honor of my some of my ancient heritage, but it's also coming through about Fantasia, which is another film which I believe is coming through in some way in this message. Please give me clear divine guidance for most beneficial for everyone involved. Yeah, and like I could talk about spiritual attacks, like we could go there and talk about that if we wanted to. You know, but sometimes it's best just to not focus on, not to look at it that way, see it as a teaching, a lesson, and a blessing. Eight of Air, there's interference in the collective. This interference is actually coming across as the Great Nothing, and that is concerning. Like, that's a concern for all of us, because the Great Nothing stops people believing and dreaming. And it's this kind of, you know, you can see it as a dark force. Again, I'm seeing Star Wars in my mind. I found it really amazing. The word saga is coming through as well, which is linked to Viking and Norwegian, Icelandic record keeping. You may be a record keeper. Record keeping is something that has taken place generation after generation in multiple different worlds. And so it's also interesting that's coming through, because it's like, who's the record keeper? You know, who is the record keeper in the never-ending story? Maybe you've got some ideas, I don't know. Father of Earth. For some of you, this is coming through about your father figure, or you could actually be a father, or you may be expecting to become a father. Something about, you know, it's interesting that there is this figure that protects the Childlike Empress, but he's not her father. I'm getting so many messages. Excuse me. Dear divine spiritual guides of mine, can I please get some clear and divine guidance to be most beneficial for everyone involved? What are we at? 54:37. 54:37. That could mean something for some of you. Four of Water, abundance, abundance. So they're saying that the abundance is promised to you, dear collective. The abundance is promised to you because you believe and you trust and you have faith in the collective, in yourself, in you doing better than those that came before you, in you trusting and understanding that although you may not understand all of the gifts and the powers of the Childlike Empress, that the Childlike Empress has been placed within the giant magnolia for a reason. Eight of Fire, insight, yeah. So it takes a really highly evolved consciousness. And so it's almost like it's coming through as like this is a challenge and a request to the entire collective to trust your own intuition, trust your own insight, and trust the divine who placed the Childlike Empress within the magnolia flower for a reason. We're hoping, right? And just there's this importance that you keep remembering to dream. You remember that, in some ways life is also a dream, that there are many states of consciousness, that there are many ways of doing healing, there are many ways of doing energy work, there are many ways of doing divination. Working with herbs is going to be beneficial for a lot of you. And there's definitely, like, now I'm seeing Atreyu again, who has that shamanic energy, who has that ancient knowledge. So it's almost like he comes forward as a representation of the ancient knowledge, the ancient wisdom. So it's almost like, you could say that there's like moments where Bastian has like a crush on the Childlike Empress but doesn't understand her, and that is because Bastian doesn't actually understand his significant role and his important vital role within the whole story, the whole larger picture, the larger perspective of the never-ending story, which is of course not just about saving the beautiful universe that the Childlike Empress has been tasked with serving and protecting. Just by her beingness, it seems to be. But it's also about protecting the universe, because if the humans in the earthly realm, in the 3D plane, stop believing in the never-ending story and stop believing in all of the fantastical, magical, powerful beings and gifts and miracles that can exist in that place, which we can look at as other dimensions. We can also look at it as the astral realm. She is ancient, but she is kept in this childlike energy so that she can still dream herself. Because if the childlike Empress stops dreaming, then she can no longer fulfill her mission and no longer fulfill her purpose. So it's this very intertwined relationship, like this very beautiful, destined, intertwined relationship that which is similar to the snakes, right, in the emblem, in the Or-In emblem. Let's see if we can't get some more messages. Gosh. Something about focus is important. So, yeah, focusing on the practicalities, but also focus on remembering to believe in the magic. For that is how the magic exists. That is how we beat the dark, consuming all nothing. You can look at that as like the dark powers, like I just heard draconian, but obviously there are all different types of hybrids of galactic ancestry, some good, some bad, and you are not defined simply by your ancestry. You are not simply defined by your DNA. In fact, it's coming through to me that many gems and heroes are actually hidden in plain sight and often cloaked and looking not like what you would expect. This is a gift of divine intention. It's very intentional. So the collective must move past many, many, many layers of preconceived notion by seeing with these eyes and not seeing with this eye, you know, and this space here. To look at the childlike empress, one must look by the heart. For children are born with open, beautiful, loving hearts and a frequency of love for all. It is what happens after that moment of conception, of birth, that really changes and shapes a child, an innocent, pure being. So, yeah, it's funny, a lot of things aren't actually explained properly, and it's almost like that's intentional. You know, you don't see everything. Like there's multiple long periods of time throughout the film, The Neverending Story, where you actually don't see within the quote-unquote ivory tower. Something about it being up in the clouds as well. It's like she must be in the clouds to be able to do that work. And then there's like obviously all these people who are stuck down in this darkness, right? 6 of 5, victory. Arrowheads are important. Big medicine wheel. So we have the small medicine wheel and the big medicine wheel. So that's very much like about that like never-ending story, that it is all interwoven, that the past is the present, is the future is the past, is the present, that we are all connected and interwoven, that we are all intrinsically connected to the childlike empress, because the childlike empress is the inner child within you, dear harmonic collective. That in order for her to be able to continue to do her magic, to be that divining rod, to be that bridge between the ether and the ground where all of these beautiful, beautiful beings exist, these whole worlds, these different environments, these different ecosystems, each with their own little story, each with their own little magic, big magic, all sorts of magic. Characters big, small, tall, short, of all different animal species, and that also, of course, links back to the some of the messages that I've been getting about the galactic wars and the galactic reading programs. Please give me clear and divine guidance. I feel like some light language wants to come through. Light language could be significant for some of you at this time. Please give me clear and divine guidance. It'll be most beneficial for everyone involved. Now I'm seeing the dragon, Balthazar, who is just such a lovely energy, like such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy. Damn, I love that movie. Oh, and like maybe that movie was actually channeled, you know, like the word prophecy is coming through at the moment. Star. Star. Make a wish on a star. Make a wish to the stars. And maybe the childlike empress or the golden-eyed commander of wishes will grant your wish. but only after she grants the wish of the entire collective. And that seems like a little bit of a tough job. So let's send prayers and love and gratitude to the Childlike Empress. Let's be patient with her, is the message that's coming through. And let's make sure that we keep respect for that balance of curiosity, joy, love, laughter, gentleness. I'm seeing like a mother's apron strings now. And just to remember that you are being triggered intentionally by the Childlike Empress. And that is part of her role. That is part of reminding you of the ways that you have not cared for and tended to your inner child, and the ways that now I'm hearing healer, heal thyself, one of my favorite expressions. Healer, heal thyself. Healer, heal thyself. Do you have any other messages before I do a tiny bit of light language and then bounce? Thank you for being here and seeking harmony both within and without. Collective prayer is a term that I'm channeling at the moment. Collective prayer, collective prayer. What is the difference between a pure-hearted prayer and a prayer that is not pure of heart? What I'm hearing is that prayer is for you alone. Not for the entire collective. And when we talk about pure of heart, like I remember even like growing up, like I had the word pure because of all my lived experiences and being born into the vessel of a woman, into a assigned female at birth vessel. Like the word pure has been overly connected to and has a deep connotation with like the idea of like a woman's purity, which is still so like heavy and loud and present within the collective's consciousness. It's also interesting to me that like, you know, in the spiritual community, there's like all these terms that we use, there's all these things that we are that we collectively kind of agree on. And then, you know, you could say the same for, say, I don't know, feminists, you know. You could say the same for body positive activists or advocates. You could say the same for disability rights advocates. You could say the same for Black Lives Matter advocates. That we have these different terms, but I believe that there's this thing that's happening with the collective where there's some kind of beautiful divine intervention that is bringing these terms together and drawing these golden threads between these different terms, so that as a collective we can understand that even though we say, yeah, we are all one, is that great darkness, that great nothing, that great consuming darkness, because of certain ways that the odds are stacked within this earthly plane, that darkness can consume some more than others. And so we have to be really careful about, you know, what pedestal we're talking from, what place of privilege we're talking from. We all must understand and embrace our own privileges in order to understand our true powers and our true place within the collective, is what I'm understanding. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bayami, the Sky Father of our peoples, my peoples, the word, that's our word for God. And thank you to the Rainbow Serpent, to Mother Gaia. Please give me clear divine guidance, be most beneficial for everyone involved. I saw a Sunday roast and saw like in big letters, Sunday roast. I'm not sure if that means something to some of you. I'm now seeing a porch, and I'm seeing a porch light flicking on and off. What do we got here? Steam cave. That's very interesting, because I actually just, was it yesterday? I went and did like some energy work and some, you know, cleansing of the toxins out of my vessel. And when you do work like this, and it's going to vary for all different people who do this kind of work, you know, like energy does physically get stored. It also gets stored in your aura. It gets stored in kind of multi-dimensional pockets is what I'm receiving. So they're showing me like the spaces in between the different versions of you on multiple planes of reality. And particularly, you know, when the great dark force that I'm not even going to name for this, right? Let's just call it the great nothing. That force, particularly if they know that you're really gifted and you have a really important role within the collective that you have at this point in time, because it always shifts and changes, right? The big medicine wheel keeps turning. Thank you. Yeah, so sweat lodges could be important. This could be a great way for you to move and shift old energy, as well as, you know, it is kind of like a protection because you are kind of going and rooting out any of the intentionally malevolent and evil, dark intended energies that have been pushed towards you. Yeah. Triangle. Somebody could be trying to triangulate you. Please can you clear divine guidance to be most beneficial for everyone involved. Pretty hot thoughts shine a light on whatever's was. Perfection is a disease of a nation. Do you have any more messages for the collective before we round this off? Number 3 could be important. 33, 99, and 199 could be important. I'm working with lavender a lot at the moment. I don't know if that's beneficial for you. That could help you to kind of peel back the layers of your own programming so that you can embrace this divine, beautiful offering from the Childlike Empress that is being offered to the collective at this time. Magnolias, you might want to buy magnolia. You might see magnolia. That'll be a confirmation for you. Maybe you've recently watched a film that has magnolia in the title. I don't know, something like that. Sorry, sometimes I just dip back into one of my many, many past lives. I've been thinking also about that, like why, you know, what, well, they're all funny words, aren't they? Pretty Shakana. I'm just going to hold that up and I'll invite you all to research these if they mean anything to you. And underneath we have invitation. Yeah, so it's interesting because what I was picking up on before is that, like, she is requesting Bastian and Atreyu to help save the universe. Maybe. And the multi-planed universe, as we spoke about, because these two worlds are intrinsically linked, intertwined like the snakes, like the silver and gold snake. And that, but she doesn't pressure them and she doesn't demand it, and she knows that they have their own hero's journey to go on, and that she must patiently, open-heartedly, with all of her love for the collective, wait within the giant magnolia flower and also believe in them. And also believe in the human collective as well as the collective of the divine, fantastical universe that she is so blessed to be a part of. And a 7422, that could mean something for some of you. I'll just close it off with a little bit of light language. Let's see if there's any light language coming through. Please give me clear divine guidance. It'll be most beneficial for everyone involved. Please open yourself to this light language. It'll be very brief. They're speaking of a cosmic portal and a crossroads. I just heard making a deal with the devil at the crossroads. Kroita, kroita, krokumoinata, nai kro trokoeta, kiamoi teraka trokumo, te larata, iteramoerata ki trokorata. Kera troro koro poro tro tro nai te rata. Just allow all of that to move within you. Orana. Yara na koera te ki ia ni roko mora ka ataki ia mai ka. Kara moi te ki ia mora te ki ana ka roko troko eta. Kera moi ki ana ra. Kera tuku ia ni ra ka tuku o la ta ki ia mai a te ki ota. Komoa, komaratai. Ko tralai dai korata. Kia noro moi. I'm seeing clouds, pink and blue clouds. Kia ira mohi dai koro toroko. I'm seeing the giant tortoise that was overtaken by the great nothing smiling and a big rainbow appearing over top of them. Please be patient with me. Koro 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 to koro moto toro to. For not all golden threads should be seen by all. Moyate ai o kaitra korataya. I'm seeing a giant black dragon. Io ite chana chirata. Chirata, chirata, koratki, tira, koya. We do not know all that protects us, and we do not protect all that knows us. Mui, tirani, alate, morate, meanara, oh, karania, takioro, taki, nietka, takoma, trakiete, nira, chiramoela, ta, murra, murru, murru. Many blessings to your inner child. Yeah. May you protect them more than you were protected in this life. darling ones, dear ones, sweethearts. For the heart must remain sweet in order to fight the ultimate evils. Yala. Seeing a baby crib. Please allow anything that rises within you or falls from you to go into the earth, into the ocean, to be taken by the sun into the sky. Please believe in magic, because magic believes in you. Please protect the Childlike Empress. She needs you just as much as you need her. So much love from Codes of Harmony.